So if you've clicked on this video, you probably know what street photography is. But just so we're all on the same page, what actually is it? Oi! So street photography is when someone goes out on the streets taking photos of their environment, be it people or buildings. And the aim is simple, to capture moments of everyday life. Sometimes when street photographers take photos of people, it can be without their consent. And so I want to know, do people think this is a little bit weird, a little bit unethical perhaps? So today I'm going to be going around asking people what they think about street photography, as well as some well-known street photographers here on YouTube. Let's go. We're rolling. All right. Good afternoon. What is your name?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Shalini.
My name's George.
Graham.
Joshua.
Joshua.
Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you, Joshua. So, do you know what street photography is?
Yeah, a little bit. But do you want
bit.
to explain a little bit more?
Tell me, what do you know about street photography?
So it's sort of just capturing people in a candid moment in the streets without their knowledge. So it creates like a real moment.
Mm-hmm. That is literally exactly what it is. Would you say street photography in any way is unethical or wrong, and why?
That's a really difficult question.
Personally, I feel that if the photo is nice and it is not like, you're not entering anyone's personal moments or life, it's fine. It's just a beautiful thing to do.
So I can understand why people get upset about it, but at the same time, I really appreciate the quality of the work that sometimes comes out of that.
The question of the video is, do you think street photography is at all wrong or unethical?
It depends on what it is, really.
I think it's context-based. If that's okay to go answer an ambiguous question with an ambiguous answer, I think it's entirely context-based. Because if you're capturing someone in like a vulnerable place, like if you're capturing like a homeless person or something like that, I don't think that's right. I think it's right. I don't think it's right to exploit someone if they're in a difficult spot.
If it's children, then unethical. You got to respect someone's privacy.
Yeah.
If they don't want to have their photo taken, then just respect all privacy at all means. Like you're going to Selfridges, you can't whip your camera out if there's a footballer there or an athlete. They're in their little private space doing their own thing. You got to kind of respect people's privacy.
The problem is that sometimes people feel so they don't feel like getting their photos.
Yeah.
That in that case, it's like getting into their privacy. Otherwise, I don't feel it's nothing bad. It's a beautiful thing. And photography especially, it's an art.
Yeah.
So capturing the moment.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
I have friends who are quite confrontational street photographers who jump out and flash people, and I've seen them get chased down the road for doing it. But I've
seen that too.
I don't personally find it particularly annoying and invasive.
But at the same time, you're capturing sort of parts of history.
Yeah.
So it could be the protests, it could be sporting events, it could be just general moments in everyday life. If they don't want it done, then by all means they can welcomely come up to you and ask for it to be deleted.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think it is ethical, but there are some fine lines there that people have the right to opt out of. Ultimately, I think it's fine.
So here we have Mr. Mike Chudley. Hello.
Hello, mate. You good?
How you doing?
Yeah, good, mate.
Jason, nice to meet you.
How you doing?
Well, we
know each other. So, Mike.
Yep.
I'm assuming you know what street photography is.
I do. I've got an idea of what it is.
Got an idea what it is?
Candid photography in public spaces. Something along those lines. Doesn't have to be on the street, obviously. It could be called documentary photography or whatever you want to call it.
How long have you say you've been shooting street for?
Couple years now.
Couple years.
Yeah.
Just so for the people, do you have a few images in mind that you really like?
Yeah. One photo of a guy with a party hat on, looking really depressed. So that's a contrast of emotions.
Yeah, juxtaposition.
A woman in a red coat and a guy in a beige coat walking past a billboard that's also red and beige. That was
I remember that one. You got
the
it on the
chances?
POV. And
yeah. I'll just send you loads, put them on screen.
Yeah. They're all, you can see them. What are some of your favourite things about shooting street photography?
I like it because it's more of a one-of-one, only you have that image, and you're not going to replicate it because it's so could be a random moment, could be. I don't even think it needs to have too much meaning to it, as long as you like the image yourself. But I just like how spontaneous it is, really.
So the idea that you're capturing one moment and no one else can sort of replicate it.
Yeah.
I love the unpredictability of it, the spontaneity of it.
Yeah.
I like that you have to be focused on the present moment. You can't be dawdling and worrying about things that are going to happen, worrying about things that have happened. You kind of just have to be in the now, and I think that's really good. I used to skate for like 10 years, and that was the same thing. When you're skateboarding and you're about to jump down a stair set, you can't worry about money or relationships, or you just have to be focused on the skateboard. The same thing is when you're walking the streets trying to look for interesting moments. You can't be thinking about anything else, or else you'll miss stuff. So it's like, it's almost meditative, if that makes sense. You have to be focused on the now, and I think that's healthy.
No, you're trying to capture these candid moments.
Yeah.
You described a couple there.
Yeah.
I assume you didn't get consent
No.
from the people to
No.
ask. Does any part of you think street photography, candid photography is at all wrong or unethical?
I think sometimes I guess you've got to be careful, like with kids and stuff like that, but I don't know, I don't think it's unethical really.
Yeah. Can't judge it by a case basis.
Yeah.
So like if it's like a child, then it's, but if it's like
I probably wouldn't take the photo.
Yeah.
But I don't know, if you're sort of like, sometimes I'll make sure I'll make sure I'm known, or sort of give them a compliment, like you look great, boom. Then they end up smiling.
I don't think it's wrong or unethical, but each photographer's approach matters a lot, I think. So when I'm taking photos of moments that are fleeting, as you would say, you don't have time to ask for permission. It's just like that's logistically not possible. But part of me does consider how I'm going about it. So if it's of two people and an environment, like the beige coat and the red coat, that's just something that happened out of my control. Like I don't need to interrupt the scene. I'm just there and it happened. I took the photo. And it's also not about the people specifically. It's about the whole thing. Whereas if I'm taking photos of someone specifically because they are interesting, then I need to consider my body language. I try and make sure I'm smiling. If they can see me taking the photo, I will mutter some words, say hello, you guys look cool, I like what's going on, just to show them that I'm positive and my intentions are good. I don't think it's unethical to take photos of people without their permission in a public space. I think that's the freedom, right, that we have to do, especially if you're trying to make art, as people would say. You can't please everyone, if that makes sense. So I know some people will be like, you've got to ask for permission all the time, but it's just not logistically possible to capture these unique moments and, hey, excuse me, can I take your photo? Can you do that again? It's not going to work. But yeah, if I'm taking photos of someone specifically because of the way they look or the thing they're doing, I will make sure I look like I'm a good guy. I don't have any bad intentions at all. I'm not trying to catch anyone out. It's not a gotcha kind of thing. It's like this is cool and I want to capture it kind of thing. So you got to consider the way you are, your body language, your approach, the words you use.
It's one of them situations where, as long as your approach is kind of chill and you do get into some situations, but I feel like as long as you've got a chill approach to you and you're not being all creepy and stuff, you get some good results sometimes.
I just spoke for a long time.
Yeah, no.
Hopefully that all made sense.
That answered the next 10 questions.
Cool.
So, because often, also some people don't realise if it's public space, it's perfectly legal. But then I guess I would say just because it's illegal doesn't mean it's necessarily ethical.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Doesn't mean you should do it. But I think you answered there perfectly about it's all about your intention.
Yeah, if I could give it one sentence reply, it would be just because it's legal doesn't mean it's correct. Therefore, it's down to the moral compass of the photographer themselves.
Yeah.
And if you have bad intentions, trying to embarrass people, you're trying to catch people, you'll get found out yourself.
Yeah.
That other people will call you out for it. I consider the subjects way more than I ever have done as my following goes up. And if I take a photo, don't overthink it too much. Realise that actually that person might be in a compromising position, or they might not be happy that I took that. I will just delete it, or no one ever sees it. You don't need to share it. Basically, this whole conversation can be a lot different on the topic of sharing work as well. Taking the photos is one thing, but sharing it and publishing it is another thing entirely. Something to consider.
Have you ever come across a street photographer who goes about it wrong? Do you know?
I've seen a few videos on YouTube where they, like I said, they get close, they take the photo, and then they're doing it for the content, aren't they? They're the people are quite agitated. They're can you stop? Can you do this? And people are still taking photos and be like, oh yeah, here's one for the thumbnail and all of that. And it's just like, okay, it's a wrong approach, isn't it? But
Jason, I appreciate it. At Nifty50,
at Nifty50,
at Instagram. Do you want to plug yourself, say a little something to the people?
Black and white photos mainly, but we'll see. I don't really post too much. I should post more.
You should post more.
I'm out a lot taking photos, but
you're out today taking photos.
I'm very critical. Yeah, I got some good ones. Chinese New Year.
Post them. Follow at Nifty50 to see them exclusive. And yeah, thank you, man.
No worries.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Cheers, man.
Appreciate your time, and yeah.
Subscribe.
Yay! Subscribe. So what have we learned from today's video? From asking the public, it seems most people are actually fine to have their photo taken and don't think street photography is wrong. They sort of recognize the importance of street photography and sort of documenting life as we know it. I was expecting at least one person to say they think it's awful and to punch me in the face, but that did not actually happen. So from a photographer's point of view, it seems context is key. You need to read the room when you're out taking photos. As long as your intentions are good and aware of your surroundings, you should be fine. As always, I hope you've taken away something from this video and catch you next time.